All right, good afternoon, viewers at home. I welcome you onto this channel once again, CSB TV. On this program, The Sincere Talk. Today I have a guest in the studio with me, and we shall be looking together at a topic, which is, should flogging, part of punishment for students, be allowed in school? And my guest on today's program is no other person. He is the Secretary General of our Society of Muslim Professional Forums, and his name is Alhaji Anifowose Mikail. He's here with me today to enlighten us if truly flogging, part of our punishment, if it should be allowed or disallowed in schools. Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome onto our TV, SD TV. Like I said earlier, in schools, either secondary or primary, it is important to caution in one way or the other punishment for our students who is found wayward. But today, when we talk of punishment, punishment can be in different forms. There are many ways to punish a student, one of which flogging is important. Now, we want to see, is flogging as punishment, should it be allowed in schools, either primary or secondary?
Once again, viewers at home, good afternoon, and thank you for having me on this program this afternoon. The topic is
should flogging as punishment for students be allowed in school?
Yes. It should not be allowed, and at the same time it should be allowed.
Okay.
In the first instance, let us look at what is this punishment itself.
Okay.
Punishment is just an imposition of a penalty to a retribution over an offense, an imposition of a penalty as a retribution over an offense. Because you can say offense now, there must be reason why that particular student commits a particular offense.
Sure.
And in a school setting, there must be rules and regulations guiding that particular school. And the first day a child or a student enter that particular school, there must be an orientation.
Sure.
And there, the school authority will tell the student, especially the new students, these are do's and don'ts here. These are the things you're supposed to do. These are the things you are not supposed to do. And that is what we refer to as orientation.
Sure.
It's an information about that particular school. But saying that we should not, flogging should be disallowed, let us look at what actually warrants this punishment we are talking about in a school setting.
Okay.
One, truancy.
Okay.
It's one of the offense the student may likely commit. Damaging of the school properties. Not regular in the schools. Late coming. Stealing. Not copying the note as a radio, and so on and so forth. All these amount to punishment by the school.
Okay.
But what we are saying is that the school should, the student that commit this offense must be punished, but not to the extent of a flogging.
Meaning the student should be flogging for any offense, but not to an extent of flogging.
Yes.
They should be punished, right?
Yes.
Then, if students should be punished according to the offense,
yes,
that simply means there are ways by which punishment could be asserted on students. What are the ways to punish students? Is it by flogging, by asking a student to kneel down, or how do you think a student can be punished?
When you notice that a student maybe is not regular in the school,
Okay.
or is still in the school, the first thing to do is just to remain with the parents.
Okay.
We can summon the parents. Mr. So, this is what your child is doing in the school. Your son or your daughter is not regular in the school. Your son or your daughter has not been completing his note or her note. Your son or your daughter is still in the classroom. We have to first of all relate with the parents. Then after that, one-on-one talk with this particular student that is found of this negative attitude in the school. But when all these avenues are, have been explored, and there's no change in that particular student, it is then you can say, okay, let us punish him or her. It is not the first offense at all. Because you may be thinking that, okay, well, this student may have a positive change. That is after one-on-one talk, or when we might have invited the parents.
And we discover that there is no desired
change. There change. It is then we can say, okay, let us punish him. The punishment, the flogging should be the last resort. Should be the last resort.
But okay, sir. I want to ask her.
Yes.
Now that the importance of flogging should be to bring out a desired result in a student. For instance, now a student that is engaged, say, in examination malpractice, and has been, trying to be encouraged time without number, but the desired results, for trying to cancel such a student is not forthcoming. Do you see flogging as a way of curbing such acts from such students?
I've said it, that that is when all the avenues have been explored. And this particular student continue with this negative attitude. Okay. It is then you can say, okay, let us introduce okay, let's flog him. Okay. But before then, even you talk to the student, maybe you bring that particular student to the assembly, right? Okay, yesterday in their class, he stole so amount of money in the class, in the public. We can look at that one, whether that one will change that particular student or not. But if the student continues, then can say, okay, let's bring him or her to the assembly again. Then we give him maybe 2 strokes of a cane or 3. It cannot be more than that. And it is the principal of the school that is authorized to cane that particular student, not the teacher at all. So,
sir, if I get you right, what you're saying is that teachers has no right to flog students.
They have no right.
But what if the principal is not?
It is the principal that will mandate that particular teacher. And Mr. A, get the cane. A being given 2 strokes of cane. It is not the teacher. It is not the duty of the teacher at all.
But sir, directly, indirectly.
Directly or indirectly, the principal that is saying, caning that particular student, not the teacher. Because the teacher is instructed, do this for me.
But I am of the opinion that if the students are aware that the teacher has no authority to flog them, don't you think students may misbehave at times whenever they see that the principal is not around?
They may misbehave. It is possible. But at the same time, if the principal is not around, the vice principal will be around, or the HOD will be around.
So if the principal is not around, then it is now the right of the vice principal. Principal not around, HOD not. I mean, vice principal is not around, then HOD.
But for the HODs, they have to wait for either the vice principal or the principal.
Or rather receive the order.
Oh yes,
from the principal.
Yes.
All right. Why we are asking about all this? In one of our schools in Ogun State, a couple of weeks ago, we heard of an incident that happened about a teacher that flogged a student. And when the student got home, he informed his or her parents. I'm not sure of the gender. He informed his or her parents, and then the parents followed the school with some hoodlums, to school, try to beat up the teacher, create chaos in the school and things like that. Now, I want to ask, before we eventually go to the society and the government, now, punishment Now we're looking at the flogging of the thing. Punishment. What do you think is the attitude of parents towards punishing a student?
It depends on the offense. Okay. It depends on the offense that particular child or student committed. That is the reason why we said that the teacher has no right to cane. The teacher must inform the authority. This is what this student did, and I believe we have to discipline him or discipline her. It is then the one you just said that the parents they supposed to move to the principal straight away instead of going to that particular teacher, because teacher has no right to cane. That is just it. So the attitude of the parents is that they believe they just punish that
maybe the punishment to the students is
uncalled for. That's their belief. Without trying to investigate what actually caused that punishment. The student will tell them another thing at home, whereas what that particular student did at school is different. So that is why the principal of the school must be carried along before the teacher can say, well, let me give him a 2 or 3 strips of cane. That is the reason.
Because what prompted that question? I actually want to know if all parents would allow, even if a principal should punish their students. Like I said the other time, there are ways by which students could be punished for an offense.
Yes.
Is either you ask a student to kneel down,
yes,
either you ask him to hold his hand and go up and down before flogging. But for whichever, I am looking at the importance of each of these punishments. All right, the positive effect, or let's say the effect that a flogging will have on students. In my own thinking, anyway, I am of the opinion that the effect of a flogging on a student will be much more than that of asking a student to kneel down. After all, a student will think, if I commit this offense, if I do this, after all, my teacher will ask me to kneel down.
Maybe we have to look at the advantages of this flogging.
Okay.
Like I say, it helps to it serves as a deterrent to others.
Sure.
That is when you cane the child. Then at the same time, the student tried not to do similar thing. That is when you see their colleague being beaten at the assembly.
Sure.
If you try to avoid it, I don't want to be caned at the assembly. I don't want to rebuke my parents or myself. That is that. And it helps to control the children to do the right thing.
Sure.
That is when you try to apply cane. That is just it. Then at the same time, authorities are able to instill a discipline in children through the use of a punishment. They use it to instill discipline. Immediately they see the principal holding the cane. They must have something maybe something is happening. Sure. Something is going to happen this morning now. Sure. So everybody will keep quiet at the assembly, and everybody will like to see what will likely happen with through the principal's speech for that day. Because in some schools, only can you see the principal of the assembly. And immediately they see the principal of the assembly holding the cane. They must know that somebody must have committed an offense. Maybe that is the reason why the principal of the school is at the assembly. So, but at the same time, when we say we want to flog, it addends the students flogging. That is one of the reasons why we should not say to flog. It's adding them that we take that law. After all, about 6 cane, about 7 cane, I have the ability to carry it.
After all, the principal won't give.
And at the same time, but it can cause injury, permanent one, on the child. And that child or that student will not forget that day for life. And the teacher in question, maybe the teacher who caught that a student cheating at that particular time, that child will not forget that teacher for life.
Sure.
And immediately you see that that mark on his body, he will continue to remember. So that is why that punishment will be, permanent in his memory for life. So that is the reason why we say we should not really do flog. And when you are not all that, you have to study your emotion before you came too.
That is important.
Aha!
It's important.
Because you say, okay, because he did not come to the school yesterday, he ran away when the lesson was going on, and you say he wants to cane. You may, that particular teacher may have himself, to blame.
Sure.
So that is the reason why principal must be carried along, report the case to the principal, and the principal will now decide what to do, what type of punishment to be given to that particular child. Like we said, kneel down there, go out and kneel down there, raise up your hand, and so on and so forth. All these are what we think can, correct the student.
Well, that's awesome. I agree with you. Most especially on the disadvantages of flogging at times. I've heard of a case whereby a teacher gave a student just a stroke, and some students fell and died from there. So only God knows what happened to the teacher in person. I'm certain that the teacher had no such intention to flog to death. But at the same time, we do not know, the health challenge or challenges that such student, had before being flogged. It is indeed, anyway, advisable to not flog. But at the same time, we need to watch it whenever we are in school as teachers. Flogging should not be the first thing. It should be the last. And at the same time, before we now say we want to flog, one should wait for the principal's order. Once again, I'm having with me today Alhaji Anifowose Mikail. He's the Secretary General of Society of Muslim Professional Forum. Welcome once again.
Thank you.
I believe whenever you invite you, the other time you would answer our call.
Inshallah.
Thank you very much. And to our viewers at home, you've watched it all, you have it all. So those of us that are teachers, we need to be careful the way we, caution punishment. Before we resort to flogging, we need to have try other means, most especially from the principal. But the topic that we looked at today with my guest is, should flogging as punishment for students be allowed in school? But in conclusion, I want to say it should be the last that should be called for. Once again, I remain Mr. Olatunji Elijah. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
86383 or 080.
Really? What do you plan to do?
I think I need to change the school immediately.
You want to change their school. Why not bring them to Solar Distinct Group of School?
Solar Distinct Group of Schools. Where is that?
Education is the best legacy. Education is the key to success. Education is power.
The city of Abeokuta, introducing Solar Distinct Group of Schools,
the citadel of knowledge with the aim of making students legends, are empowering them with the key to success. We have conducive classrooms, standard science laboratory, modern boarding facilities, and many more. Solar Distinct College is opposite Crown Royal Hotel, Abiolawe, Abeokuta, Ogun State. Telephone numbers are 080-343-86383 or 080-644-74033.
Solar Distinct College, the school with distinction.